In this episode of Hudson Valley Hustle, I have one of my best friends on the show, Mike Benninger, owner of New Windsor Music Academy and Fishkill Music Academy. He's been in business for so long. His journey is awesome. We're going to talk about it. Hope you get a bunch of value out of it. Enjoy. Mike.
Joe.
Welcome.
Hello.
Mike Benninger, Fishkill and New Windsor Music Academy, Guitar Essentials. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is good.
It is.
Talk a little business.
Yep.
You've been my friend for a long time. Both business owners.
Well, let's define friends, first of all.
Started off as my guitar teacher, and then it blossomed into a lovely budding relationship, as they say. But I think why we're good friends is the music thing, the music connection, but also the business connection. So you own a couple different businesses. So give the origin story on that and how that happened.
Yeah, sure. So after grad school, and I went for music performance, I came back to the area, and I was always teaching, even in college and stuff. So teaching private guitar lessons. My first apartment needed a job, so I started teaching more guitar lessons out of my apartment, moved to my house, bought a house, and then built the studio up where I myself, in about a 10-year period of time, from 2003 to 2013, built up a studio in my house where I was teaching up to 97 students, which is not...
A week?
A week, yeah. So for about 10 years, built it up where I was teaching between 80 and 97. I also had teachers work for me in the second studio room on instruments that I wasn't proficient on. So violin, voice. I also taught piano and drums, and I had teachers to teach them as well, and just built the studio up in a 10-year period of time where it was time to move out of the house. We had 126 students. And we went commercial and opened up New Windsor Music Academy in 2013. So fast forward to today, New Windsor has over 600 students. And then in 2022, I opened up the second location, Fishkill Music Academy. That now has 300 students. So combined 900 students between the schools. It always varies. We have full-time office staff, and it always varies in the sense of the amount of teachers we have. So we have subs and regular teachers, some full-timers, but around 65 teachers. So
That's across both schools?
Yeah. Yep.
That's a lot of staff.
It is.
That's a lot of staff. Yeah, that's awesome. So you had like a really interesting transition from home to commercial location, then to two commercial locations. So like, I guess I want to know, what were some of the challenges from going from home to the first commercial space? Because that, I imagine, was probably a scary jump in the beginning.
It is, because, when you're in home, your overhead costs is your mortgage, right? So, and I was just starting to profit well and then made that transition. And then you're not profiting well because now you have all these things. You have rent, you have another utility bill, multiple utility bills, you have accountant's fees, lawyer's fees, and the list goes on and on. So it was scary, and it took some time to build. And I didn't have an office manager until I think 2014. I hired my first one, so I had help. So I was teaching, had teachers working for me. I was answering the phone. I was the office, and it was crazy. And I was teaching 7 days a week. So that was the big transition, especially too, when you're commercial, you get a lot of walk-ins. So I'm teaching a lesson and I get a walk-in, and what do? You have to excuse the lesson, entertain someone walking in. So it was very stressful until, I got an office manager and started to delegate a lot more things, and then wind down on my teaching eventually.
What do you recommend for somebody then that maybe is working out of their home right now, right? That has their business, is based out of the house. What do you recommend, or when do you recommend is a good time to actually transition into out of the home?
Yeah.
Is it a financial thing? Is it a physical size thing? Like, what do you think, knowing what you know now?
Well, my push, so personally, and then I'll give suggestions. My push was my wife at the time, and we have 2 kids, we wanted to change school districts. So we had to move, and I wasn't going to move and put the studio in another house. So there is something about having your business at home, which can be, and you have clients coming to your house, it can be kind of a difficult situation. So I think that's one thing. Lifestyle is one reason. Do you like working out of home? That's the first thing. Do you have clients coming in where that, separates your personal and business life? There's no separation. They're coming to your house. So that's one thing, lifestyle. The second would be financial, because if you move commercial, you have to grow, or you're just going to lose money. It makes sense, right? So having that push, do you have enough money? If you can do it without debt and build, great. I didn't do it that way. I used a lot of leverage. And if you're fine with that, then do it. But if you have the capital to make the move, that's the important thing. And knowing how much the costs are going to be and your overhead if you go commercial. But I would say it did help with marketing that now you're in a commercial professional space as opposed to clients coming to your house. Although you took lessons at my house, it was professional. But when you're talking on the phone with a client or via email or text, it's a studio in my basement. So there's that other factor that it is more professional. So
yeah. So fast forward, you grew New Windsor from your house to the location in New Windsor with over 600 students.
Yep.
What do you think has been how do you get customers? Like, what's your secret to getting that level of customers in your business every single week?
Well, I think you have to have a marketing budget and you have to learn about marketing. So I've studied marketing for, 20 years now, and it's, I think have a love for it. So there's multiple avenues in marketing, paid for ads, whether direct mail, and different various things of direct mail, whether it's Valpak mailers or Clipper magazine or your own list that you use and market to them. And that is probably the most expensive one, direct mail, but it works. Using social media, paid for ads, same thing with Google. SEO is really big. We get a lot from our website, and getting traffic to our website. But the list goes on, and I think the best thing for any business is to know where you're getting your customers from. And I don't know who developed this, but they're called marketing ponds. Like, which ponds do you pull from where you get customers? So being organized in that and knowing that is important. See which ones work and which ones don't.
That's even more important when you're smaller, on the smaller side, and learning because you don't have the budget that you have, or you don't have the budget that you have now back then.
Yeah.
Every dollar is worth so much more in the beginning. You have to be really strategic.
Yep. And so I would do a lot of grassroots in the beginning, meaning flyers up, rack cards, stuff like that, and putting them around town and having the website, because the website's pretty cheap. So,
Yeah. What do you think has been what's been the biggest challenge marketing wise to get you to that point of 600 plus students?
I think the biggest challenge is holding the amount of debt you have to holding a good amount of debt and making payroll. That's really it, because you have to pay the teachers, and we do pay weekly, and you don't want to go overboard and most businesses fail because they can't make enough profit and they can't handle all their debts. So I think having that balance is the hardest thing.
How do you find it managing 65 employees?
Well, I have to say we have full-time office staff, and they're wonderful, and they help. And we have a manager in each school, and then we have weekly meetings. But it can be difficult. very difficult because every week you're going to get something with that many employees, like can't come in, whether sick or car trouble or last minute cancels. And then we have to find a sub or, and I think that is the biggest thing. And then also quality control with that many teachers. Everyone has a different teaching style. And our basic thing is the method is teach the music they love. So if our student wants to learn this artist, that's our goal, to teach that with all the other things, reading and, technique and stuff. But it's got to be fun.
Do you find it hard to get that many people on that same kind of mission?
Oh, yeah. And so we do workshops sometimes, teaching workshops to get the teachers ingrained with that. But it is, because it's so many people, you have to, and just individual conversations with teachers about teaching style. We always get the feedback from our clients so that we use that feedback to give good quality lessons. So if we have any negative feedback, then I want to address that, whether it's one of my managers or myself, talking to a specific teacher about, hey, this is, what can we do to help you?
Yeah. It's, how many did you start with at the studio at home?
How many students?
How many teachers?
When I left to commercial, I think we had 7 teachers.
Gotcha. So you had 7 teachers coming to your house.
Yeah.
So what advice do you give to somebody that maybe is by themselves working and wondering whether or not they have to hire somebody, or somebody that has, a small team or a medium-sized team that's looking to grow to that level that you're at? What would you say to somebody like that? Because that's a big transition for somebody.
Yeah. It kind of goes to the transition of home to commercial. And it's this same answer, I would say. It's lifestyle. So why do you hire an employee? Could be 2 reasons. One, to help you out and help your lifestyle. Like if I'm overburdened with work, I can delegate it to my staff, or I can get a personal assistant, for instance, to help me out with stuff. And so the second thing is money. What are your projected goals of how much money you want to make? And how do you obtain that goal? So if I want to double my income, can I do it myself? And then can I do it myself without losing it, And I knew for myself, I couldn't sustain teaching the number of students I was teaching. There was too much burnout. Usually burnout happens, 60 students is a big number, and I was way above that. So that's what it is. It's, are you burnt out? Do you need help? And then how much do you want to grow the business? Because most businesses that grow, they need help. They need employees.
You can't, like you said, you tap out your time and you're done. I mean, everything's going to suffer at that point if it's just you to it. Oh yeah. But you have to want that lifestyle. You either want to grow, or you want to just manage it to where you can do it on your own. Yeah. But you have to know which one it is. You have to know which one you want to be. Yeah. Yeah. And that's got to be I think that's got to be a struggle for many.
Oh, it was for me, making the jump to commercial and then hiring as much as I did. Do I stay small or do I go bigger? And both were great, but I'm really happy with what I've done. And also, especially, and the business aside, it's music. It's an industry I love. So it's like the amount of people we serve is amazing. And the amount of people we employ is great, Super grateful for the amount of students involved in music, the amount of teachers I can employ in office. So
now you have the other school across the river. Yep. And that's growing and doing well. And I remember talking to you about this, and you're like, "Well, I'm doing it." I'm like, "That's incredible."
Yeah. It's super exciting. I love the whole process. We built the rooms, from the construction aspect to the hiring to all the marketing. And just building it is exciting. And people are so thankful that they have a school in that area.
Sure. So, it's something that I think your business is something that benefits the community, right? Oh, yeah. Like you're helping kids and adults. I know you teach a lot of adults also, but music is so good for anybody, honestly. I mean, it's good. It's so good for your brain. It's a creative outlet. It's great.
And it's great because I'm not in the school every day, so I don't see it. And I don't have any more students that I teach, except for 2 that from the past that I teach. With not seeing the students day to day, the recitals are wonderful because you see the progress of the students. So we do them twice a year. So
yeah, no, that's definitely a big undertaking for you too, like personally, right? You put a lot of responsibility into that.
Yep.
Managing how many students go to the recitals usually?
Last recital, which was our winter recital, we had over 400 students. Yep. It's a big 2-weekend event. Yep.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it's a lot of preparation.
Sure is, yeah.
It's a lot of work. And I'm sure the parents appreciate it too, because the parents get to see the kids in a public forum, and the kids get to perform and do their thing. It's got to be like,
it's great.
That's got to be for you a really rewarding thing, because like you said, you don't get to see that every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's like the culmination of all the work that your teachers do and your staff does.
Yeah.
And
oh, it's great. And it's especially with the kids, but adults perform in it too. It just boosts their self-esteem. The parents are super happy, the kids are happy, and then it progresses them after the recital's done. They're excited about, I want to do the next recital. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, so, usually you do them twice a year, so you have like that 6-month gap between. So you always have something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Performance-wise, that's awesome. What about this is something you and I talk about all the time. It's the entrepreneurial side of being in business.
It's lonely.
It is. And but explain why. Because like we talk about it all the time. You and I do.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about it with other people.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be brought up more.
Yeah. So the reason I say it's lonely, and a lot of entrepreneurs say that, it depends on your network. So I do have networks of entrepreneur friends, yourself included. So that's our outlet. But when you're just talking to regular friends who work for someone or are not entrepreneurial, building businesses, you can't really talk to them about it, because you can and can't. I mean, you're not going to start talking about income and numbers. You're not going to talk unless they're interested in asking you questions. Like, it's almost like sound like you're bragging about something if you're saying like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and you're really excited about it, and it's who you are as an entrepreneur of building businesses, and there's a big dopamine rush with building businesses and growing them. But it's hard to share that with people, because they usually don't get it. They don't, have that business sense. So
yeah, I have a lot of family members and friends and whatnot, and I don't think anybody ever asks how business is going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like it's almost like either they just don't care, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like everybody is so miserable in what they do, and I'm just so happy about what I do that they can't relate on that front either.
Yep. So there's a famous marketer named Dan Kennedy, and he said, and he's written many books, I don't even know how many now, maybe 15. And he goes, when he spoke about it to his family, the first book was like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's so great. Then the second book, oh, wow, you're writing another book. Then when it came to the third or fourth, like, no one cares. And so that can translate to music schools. Let's say I opened a third music school, for instance. It's not that you need to impress them, but when you talk about stuff with people, they're like, oh, okay, that's what he does, and it's just another school, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where it can be kind of lonely. But if I talk to my groups of entrepreneur friends, like, we're helping each other. Like, that's great. Hey, I have a question. When you grew your third business, what were some of the problems with it? What was the same thing with the second location? You can just go back and forth and talk about these things and help each other. Like, I just got a text today from a friend who owns a school. I think he's got 4 schools in Canada, and it's like, he's talking to me about makeup policy and stuff. And it's like, I feel his pain. Whereas if you go to your friend, significant other, they'll be like, okay, I don't get what your pain is on makeups, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. So I think I guess to boil that down, it's a lonely road being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, but it's really important to have the network of friends and colleagues that are in your shoes that you can actually talk about things with and that you can't talk about with other people.
And it's the level of excitement. So let's say it's a friend who I haven't talked to in a while and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I just say, "Oh, business wise or work wise." But I get so excited about business. I just don't want to like vomit everything out because I get excited about it. I got to be, reserved and realize oh boy, they're probably like, "You shouldn't have asked that question."
That's the last time they asked.
Yeah. So that does happen.
No, it's true. Yeah. It's because we get excited about it, right?
Yeah.
We can, like you said before, we could talk about things that we could never share with other people that aren't in this kind of situation because they'll look at it as bragging and it's not. I'm not.
Yeah.
We don't do it to each other to brag.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do it to each other to push each other and to share in success and share in failure at the same time. Because how many times have you called me with an issue or I call you with an issue? It's how have you handled this in the past? What would you do in this situation? That is so valuable.
It is. And it's great because, we all have had failures and we learn from them. And I think that's good. But if you can avoid major failures and pitfalls by communicating with other entrepreneurs who have been through it before, it makes your life so much easier.
Yeah, seriously.
Because a lot of business owners and a lot of businesses fail. They'll have something big come up and then they're like, "I just want to sell. I don't want to even do this anymore." Well, you're going to have struggles. You're going to have things happen. And it happens a lot, especially the more employees you have. So you have to be ready to have that sense of that failure can happen, but then get by and grow from it.
Yeah, that's when the most growth usually happens is coming from some kind of a failure like that.
Absolutely.
So, but again, having somebody to bounce that off of too is really. I'm telling. Just having you as the sounding board, and I'm sure vice versa is so helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, being practically neighbors helps. But it was good. You and I knew each other way before all this too. Yeah. But it's good to have that. It really is. Not to sound too mushy.
Yeah. No, it's great.
but it definitely is. Yeah. What is something that what do you think has been the biggest, I guess, key to your success and where you're at now? That's something that nobody taught you, but you learned kind of on your own. Whether it's about employees, marketing, financials, growth, what's a major lesson that you learned kind of the hard way, I guess?
It's really hard question too when you said it earlier about on your own. It can stem from, I don't really think it was all on my own. I think I learned everything in a way. So it's hard to answer it that way. And so what I mean is learning from my parents. They were business owners. But I wasn't ever working for them. I just saw their work ethic, whether it was in our personal life or seeing my father and mother work. So just the work ethic that is so extreme. So that was a big thing. And I think having goals in yearly goals and then smaller increments, monthly goals, obtaining them, have the mindset that you're going to succeed is the biggest thing. I think learning about who you are and where you want to go and having the drive to be successful was the biggest self-development thing. But I also used self-help from studying entrepreneurs, getting business coaching, having friends like yourself. But at the end of the day, I remember I thanked a coach and he said, "Well, Mike, it's all you." And I don't totally agree with that. I learned from him. I've learned from other coaches. I've learned from books. But But it is really, at the end of the day, you have to put the work in. And that drive is, I think, what is the self-motivation is what I've learned, and not to get stagnant and lose that motivation. That's been the hardest thing, honestly, because you get settled. Like Fishkill, the second location, is doing really well, but it was much more exciting when we were building it up to the number it is of 300 students. Now it's kind of just getting, it's the same thing.
Yeah, you don't want to get complacent.
Yeah,
because that's when things start to kind of fall off.
Yeah.
How do you personally deal with the pressure of having so many people relying on you?
Yeah.
Or am I just making it more aware that there is pressure?
You get used to it. And I think a big thing is, through my path, is it was always very hard for me to delegate to people, to my office and or teachers. And now I'm much better at it. And it's made my life easier. And so having also boundaries between your staff of knowing when we're going to connect, that they're not calling me every single second asking questions. We have systems in place that make it really streamlined. So I guess what your question was, having that many people rely on you, I kind of like it a lot. I love it, really, because I feel that I'm employing so many people that it just feels good. And getting through even, COVID, and no one had to get fired in this industry. And we all worked together and we survived, and it feels great. But that was a rough time too, because everyone's coming to me, what are we going to do? And you have to make decisions, and then you have to stick to it, and then you could pivot and change. Right. But at the end of the day, I am the decision maker, and then you have to implement it.
Yeah.
So it can be tough. So
yeah, but that's why not everybody does it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think about this hustle culture that's becoming very, very popular? I know it's kind of ironic, but yeah. I think there's a difference between hustling and that hustle culture of almost just looking like the part versus actually doing the part. Yeah. What do you think about this, as everybody wants to be an entrepreneur right now?
Yeah. You're entering a world of pain. It's a quote from, I think, The Big Lebowski. And it's true. Everyone wants to, let's say not everyone wants to be a millionaire, but let's say you want to have $1 million net worth. Are you willing to do the work? Because it's not easy, and it's not easy in the beginning. So people want to do all this stuff and be successful, but do they have the mindset that it's going to happen and manifest it? This is going to happen. When I built New Windsor Music Academy, it wasn't, I don't know if this is going to be successful. It's no, this is going to be. It kind of has to be, because I have kids, I have expenses. And so you go with that mindset of, this is what's going to happen, but then you have to back it up with action. And if you don't, and that's the problem, I think, with the question you're asking of the hustle culture, a lot of people want it, but they don't want to put in the work.
Yeah. So. I'll tell you, it reminds me of a friend I used to have in high school who I recently saw in the last couple of years. Yeah. She had opened up a business near one of my clients. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, it's, so-and-so. Yeah. And the attitude she had about her business was this. Yeah, I want to just, try this out for a year and see how it goes. Yeah. I'm like, you're not going to be here in 6 months.
Yeah, I agree.
And sure enough, we go back literally a few times later, she's gone. Yeah. Right? It's you were setting yourself up for failure right from the start.
It's kind of it might have been Arnold Schwarzenegger. I can't say his name, apparently. Yeah. He said, I didn't have a plan B. Right? I think that was his quote. And that's very interesting because he did pretty amazing things. He goes, this is what I'm going to do. Not, I'll try out bodybuilding and see, maybe I'll do okay in it. No, you can't go with that mindset. I mean, you can, but you're probably going to fail.
Yeah, doesn't make
any sense. He went with the mindset of, I'm going to be the next Mr. Olympia or whatever he thought, you know?
Yeah, when I started this 9 years ago, 9 years ago,
yeah,
we had just found out that we were having our first kid.
Yeah.
I left a 6-figure job.
Yeah.
We didn't even know at that point that my wife wanted to 100% be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, this either has to work or it has to work.
Yeah.
There's really no choice.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's such a difference between, I'll try it out and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm here still 9 years later.
Yeah.
And that other business is gone 3 years ago.
Yep.
I think that's the problem with hustle culture.
Yeah.
Is I want to try it out.
Yeah.
It's like you can't try it.
Yeah.
You know, like, not to quote Yoda, but like, you either do it or you don't.
Yeah.
This is not a try thing.
I feel you should always quote Yoda, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but that's what it is. I feel like that's what I feel like the culture unfortunately is. It's like, I'm gonna give this a shot and see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not
that's
not how you build sustainable
It starts with the idea, the mindset, then taking action, and then the persistence to continue and consistently keep working and keep focusing on it and growing.
And not folding at the first sight of danger.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I remember calling you months ago being like, dude, I just had a major financial drop here.
Yep.
What the hell am I going to do?
Yeah. And it worked out, right?
It worked out because you don't have a choice. Like, you do not have a choice.
So those are things that happen. I've had that too. And then you have to pivot and do something else and get through it. So,
and if that doesn't work, you have to do it again.
Yep. And again.
Because you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
How many times have you pivoted in your business? I mean, like, to just make things work.
So many times, even if it is a small thing like a system change, so it makes things better. But big ones, whether financial and financial ones are some of the biggest, dealing with New York State as an employer, you have all these laws that you have to follow, and it's tough to deal with those. So the amount of times is probably like, I can't even count on two hands. So
somebody should expect to not be doing something the way that they're doing now years down the line.
Yeah.
If they're getting into this, because I look back at the way I started things, and it's not even close. Yeah. I'm not doing things remotely close to how I was doing them back then, because you learn more, you have pain, and you grow from that. Yeah. No, that's good, man.
I mean, it's interesting to say that it's easier for me now that the businesses are bigger than when it was just me doing it. And we had like 126 students. It was much harder then, in the sense of day-to-day teaching, day-to-day running the business. So by growing, you can actually make your lifestyle much better.
Yeah. I had a client once tell me one time, and I still do this every now and then. It's, if I'm about to do a task, ask yourself, is this something that I should do? Or is this realistically something that I can have somebody else do?
Yeah.
I think that's just a good exercise in any day-to-day task, because that helps you grow your team. It helps free you up to do things that'll help grow the business instead of doing the things that somebody else could be doing on the day-to-day.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to watch, like, marketing. I primarily do.
Big picture.
Yeah, big picture, accounting, management, but I can delegate more management in the future. I don't know what I'm getting at here, but there's, I don't know.
But delegation, like that's...
Oh, that's what I was, delegation. And also, what can I do or what can I delegate? Also, what do you want to do so that you enjoy running your business? Like hiring, I do a lot, pretty much all the hiring. I will delegate that at some point. But I do like doing it and meeting the people. But sometimes, like, if I have to hire someone in Fishkill, isn't it easier to teach my manager who's already over there, or I have to go across the river, travel, get dressed up? And are they going to even show up, the people interviewing, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something I would delegate.
People don't realize that when you start a business, especially early on when you're by yourself, you wear all the hats. Mm-hmm. You don't just do the thing that you're excited to go do.
Yep.
You have to do the accounting and the marketing and the management and the day-to-day and all of that. Yep. And I think that's something that people really need to think about. Is that something that I really want to do before jumping into this?
Yeah. And like, I don't like paperwork. That's something you realize. And as your businesses grow, there's more and more. And absolutely. You have to, I mean, with just Googling, what does it take to start up a business? Just start there, because you're going to forget, oh, I have to get QuickBooks. Oh, wait, I have to be savvy enough with spreadsheets to keep this all organized. You know, just the simplest things. Oh, I probably should have a line of credit or enough access on credit cards so that I can make payroll, or I can, you know, pay for, I didn't realize, oh yeah, built a school. Oh yeah, we're going to need piano benches. I didn't budget that in. I did, but you know what I mean? You might forget that, those like small things. Music stands. Oh, I forgot about that. You know, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
So.
Moral of the story is, it's a hard, lonely road.
Yep.
But is it worth it?
It absolutely is. Yeah. It's worth it for me as a business owner, and loving the growth, loving the industry I'm in, as we talked about earlier. If I had to do it all over, I don't think I would do it necessarily differently. Even the mistakes I made, because I learned so much from them. So, and then it frees up my lifestyle, that if I need to go away, my school can be running without me there. I could technically live in another state or another country and run the businesses. It would be harder because sometimes you need to go there. It's good to be present here and there, but I could do that. I could live anywhere in the world and run these businesses. So
you do it all over again.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Right on.
Where can somebody look you up and see what you're up to?
Sure. Both schools, newwindsormusicacademy.com, fishkillmusicacademy.com, and then on content on any of the major channels, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Guitar Essentials. You can find that also for the schools. We're on all those social media outlets. But if you go to the websites, you can get all the information, phone number, email. So.
And go take lessons.
And take lessons. Everyone should try a musical instrument. I think it's a wonderful thing. So
it doesn't matter what age.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Go learn music. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Thanks, dude. Boop.
Thank you.
There you go.